For our first fabrication task, we are going to be creating free-form curves. Now, up until now, we've been doing pretty geometric things that are very irregular, and we've been using a variety of techniques and machines to achieve that. But now we're going to have a little bit more playful fun. This technique is actually super valuable, especially if you continue in sculpture, because it is used to create a lot of different types of forms. In fact, if you take Sculpture 2 or Advanced Sculpture, you'll be doing something similar quite a lot. For this technique, you will need yourself a length of metal. It can be anywhere between a couple of feet long to very long. You will also need yourself a piece of chalk like this, which you can find on the bulletin board on the tray underneath. Now, you can spend some time just doing truly free-form stuff, where you bend a little bit and then you adjust and then you bend a little bit more. But I'm actually going to show you today how to create something that matches a drawing or an idea that you have. So for this, I'm going to draw directly on the floor. And I'm just going to start by making kind of a loose hook-like shape. Not anything real detailed for this demo, although you can get very detailed with this. You'll need to set yourself up near a pair of these. You'll see these all over the table in the studios. These pegs or prongs that stick out to the end from the end of the table. If you're like me, you run into them with fair frequency, but what they're here for is to help us bend or fabricate metal. There are various sizes, so this pair is quite large, but there's smaller and narrower ones around the studio. Pick whichever ones seem to work best for what it is you're bending. I'm doing a relatively large open curve, so these larger ones should be just fine. If I was doing something more small and intricate, I might find one of the smaller sets of pegs. To use these, you are going to place your metal so that one end is underneath one of the pegs, and the other part of it is over the top of one of the pegs. And then you are going to bend against either one, really, to get a bit of a curve. You want to do this gradually, sort of like what we did with the metal roller, where we worked up to our full circle. You don't want to do it all at once, because if you push all at once, you'll get a very sharp curve or a kink in the metal, and it won't look very good. So let's say I want to make this curve, and I'm going to start out with this shallow little hook in the end. I'll put my metal in here and just gently push a little bit to make a very slight bend in the metal. Then I'm going to slide the metal, move it over a little bit, make another little bend, slide it over, make another little bend, bit by bit. So what you're doing here is not actually creating a completely smooth curve, but you'll get the illusion of that because you're bending a little bit close together, and so it will seem to blend out to the eye. It's important as you do this, if you want to match a drawing that you've created, that you compare often with the drawing that you have. So I'll actually lay my metal directly on the drawing. I can even use my chalk to make some notations to myself. So I've matched this initial hook pretty well, but now I want it to curve more dramatically. So I'm going to make a little mark right where that needs to start happening. And now when I take my metal back to the pegs here, I can put that mark I created right on there and use that to help determine what my more dramatic bend is going to be. Okay, now I'm going to have a bend that starts to go the other way. So I'll make a mark indicating where that's going to start. Again, I place it against the mark right here against one of the pegs. Okay, so I can start to see it's bending the opposite direction of my initial hook. Sometimes if you have a long piece of metal, it can take a little bit to navigate where to place it so that it's not dragging on the floor or getting in your way. It's something that you kind of have to play with until you get the hang of it. So here, you might be able to see, or maybe not in this video where it's positioned, that I'm hitting the floor out here, that I can turn it the opposite way and make the same bend without having that long piece hit the floor. See where I'm standing with my drawing here. Okay. So I know I need to curve further around this way. The more often you can go back to your drawing and compare, the better. The better results you'll get. Okay. Now you might notice that I have a little bit of a, what's known as a compound curve. So it not only curves this way, but in bending it over the antlers, I've also curved it up this way a little bit. That might be something I like. Compound curves that go out on multiple axes are actually really nice. I'm going to wait to decide until I get a little further along. I can also take it out if I don't particularly like it. You'll notice for this that I am not wearing gloves. I just like to have a bit more of a sense of connection with the material I'm using, be able to feel a little bit more what it's doing. But the downside of that is dirty and gross hands. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, you can certainly wear your gloves while you're making free-form bends like this. So now I'm at that last little curve. I have pretty closely matched my drawing here. Like I said, I've got this compound curve, so it comes out this way. I actually like that. If I didn't like it, I could put this back in the horns and bend against this so it's straightened out. I think I'm going to lean into it. So this one goes this way. I might make another compound curve that comes out this way. Now I have kind of an interesting dancing form that looks pretty cool from all directions. So again, this is fabrication, but it's fabrication in a much more free-form way that we've done so far. You can use this to build very complex sculptures. In the next video, I'm going to show you another type of fabrication that's back to being a little bit more of a regular shape. You'll learn how to make spirals and eventually how to make rings.